You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, but we got Uncle Rico.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico.
What up?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna spend the next couple months splitting my time between trying to figure out why the Packers are who the Packers are and why Joe the janitor is pulling out urinals and putting in stalls. It's gonna occupy a lot of my time, I'm telling you. Go Pack, go. Let's figure it out. We got time. We got time to figure it out. Let's freaking figure it out. All right. Packer Nation, we will survive. At least the Vikings got smoked. That was awesome. Later.
Got a lot of time to solve all the world's problems here, Uncle Rico. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know what everybody, all the callers are doing, acting crazy. Things get a little weird at the end of the season. I can't say I've ever ripped a urinal out for any one reason, but I'll probably spend more time on the Packers stuff. It's up to you what you want to do, urinals, Packers. I'm not making a ton of progress, by the way, as far as the Packers are concerned. I've gotten as far as identifying some issues. As far as solving them, so far, I got nothing, but I'm working on it, all right? So let me know if you guys got any ideas.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Aaron. Call up Beauclair. So, a couple of things. Hearing some of the fans talking about possibly wanting Matt LaFleur replaced with a different coach. I will just put my opinion forward as firmly keeping LaFleur. That's my particular stance. I think, you get 11 wins in a season. You go to the playoffs, 2 years in a row with a new quarterback, with a young team. I think that's enough for me. Plus, they did have a lot of injuries, and I know all teams do, but I don't know. I think as fans, we're not seeing all that goes on behind the scenes. And so when a team falls apart like this, or at least aspects of the team fall apart like this, it's easy to just make it one-dimensional. And I don't know. I don't know if I can go that far. But honestly, I wouldn't change that much going into next season if I were the Packers. I think I would kind of say, look, we did 80% of the things this season that we needed to do. Here are some areas we need to improve on. What do we need to do with personnel? What do we need to do with our emphasis and focus? And who knows? If they could fix that, and then next year another problem could pop up. It's really hard when you're the head of coach of a team, I think, or the leader of any organization, to control every single thing that happens. So anyways, I think I would keep the approach relatively the same, other than I just think they need a few personnel changes, maybe some more solid leadership at certain positions, But otherwise, I wouldn't change that much, honestly. It'd be nice to have a little more defined hierarchy at receiver, I think. It kind of gives some... Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's... Here, 1 second, I'll come back.
Okay. You guys have done a really good job, by the way, because I'm always like, you get one more. And then it's like they only... Even when there's like 6 of them in a row, and it's like, okay, I'm only doing one. Usually it's just, there's just one more, and then, call back a bunch of times. But it's not like, so far, and it's going to happen, there's going to be a time where it's like, let me call back. I'm like, I can't, dude. You got your limit. You got your limit.
All right, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe the fact that there is no clear hierarchy at receiver was one of the reasons the passing game suffered. I don't know. Could be. I mean, it's great to have a lot of targets to spread around, but at the same time, a lot of the planning, to what it seems like from the outside, a lot of the planning oftentimes happens around what the other team is perceiving as the biggest threat, and they try to take that away, and that leaves someone else uncovered. You can't do that if you don't have a clear number one, a clear number two. Maybe you can, I don't know. But it would be nice if they had somebody that was just the obvious first.
Well, I'll say this. I think there's something to be said for that. For example, one of the things that I had mentioned is it's hard for Matt LaFleur to come up with a game plan when you don't know who's going to be your guy, right? You start off, Jaden Reed's your dude. Cool. Let's build a game plan around Reed. And Reed's like, nah, I don't feel like doing it anymore. What? Like, yeah, I suck now. Oh, okay. Well, and Dobbs is over here like, look at me. Like, I'm playing really well. It's like, well, we didn't. We'll catch you next time, right? And then we're like, all right, let's build a game plan around Dobbs. And Dobbs is like, I don't want to play football anymore. What? Like, yeah, I don't want to play football. All right, dude. How about Watson? Oh, Watson got hurt. It's just, if you have guys that at least you know who they are and what they are, you can build a plan around a guy like Devontae because it's going to be Devontae. And like you said, they're going to try to take Devontae away. So it gives you kind of an idea what they're going to do. And you can choose to, here's how we're going to try to get him open. Also, here's how we're going to use him to get other guys open. There's a very clearly defined, like, this is just what's going to happen and what we're going to do. The problem with all these theories that I'm hearing from everybody, and they're all great and they're all like, yeah, maybe, is none of them answer my main question. There's a guy wide open. Why isn't Jordan throwing it to him? Right? Well, the game plan. No, game plan bullcrap. It worked. He's open. Why doesn't he throw it to him? Well, no, he's open. Why doesn't he throw it to him? Until we can answer that question, I don't know the answer. I don't know how anything gets fixed. Because as far as I can tell, everything worked. The run game works. The defense works. The special teams works. The play calling is working because guys are getting open. Why isn't he throwing an accurate ball to that wide open guy? Why isn't he doing it? Well, we need a wide receiver one. Doesn't fix the problem. Why isn't he throwing it to him? We need a better offensive line. Not the problem. He's not under pressure. Why doesn't he throw it to him? We need pass rush. Not the problem. Why doesn't he throw it to him? I'm okay with all this stuff. Like I said, yeah, get a better wide receiver. Great. I'm on board. We need corner. We need pass rush. If you want to bolster the offense, great. Yeah, offensive line. Cool. Got it. Why doesn't he throw it to the open guy? And some of the stuff I'm just not on board. Like, we got to change our game plan. I don't know. I don't think so. I like the game plan where guys get open. That's the game plan I would like to keep doing. Why isn't he throwing it to him? Why? That's the problem. It's no different than Rodgers in his, last year here, where it's like, you got the check down right there. Why are you refusing to do it and then just chucking it into double coverage? You had him. He was right there, and it was a first down. I don't know why didn't you do it? Well, he needs a better receiver after Devontae. No, that doesn't answer the question. That has nothing to do with it. You're just saying things. Need a new offensive coordinator. To do what? To get guys open? Because they are. We got to run trickier plays? Like, what? It's working. Just do the thing. So, again, I mean, there's a lot of thoughts, and they're all, they range from, yeah, I don't think so, to, maybe or probably to some degree or whatever. And again, I agree with you that it probably would create some clarity. I just don't know how it fixes that problem. And the only thing that scares me is if Jordan is starting to get tunnel vision and we give him like a number one receiver, is he just going to get locked into him 24/7? Because that's a real problem. And then we're really going to miss just having a bunch of twos running around where the ball just got distributed. Because having a guy that can't take his eye off that number one guy, that sucks.
Look at receiver. I don't know. I don't know how much. I don't know that much about how this all works, but I do think that it seems like that might be an improvement on our passing game. And then secondly, I think I'm just wondering if Jordan Love's injury affected him and his accuracy a little bit more than maybe he's leading on. Because I saw him after the game in the press conference saying, you know, someone asked how much did your injury affect you? He said not really much. And that's the thing. I mean, as a player, you can't think of it as being a big deal, but in reality, it could have been. You know, it could have been a reason he wasn't quite as sharp. I mean, I don't know, like, if you're dealing with something like that, it just takes that little extra bit of focus away from what you're trying to do. And so maybe that's what we were seeing. I don't know. Maybe it's just Jordan Love's kryptonite. It's just kind of like consistency of accuracy. Maybe he's a bit of a Matthew Stafford, you know? And if that's the case, well, Matthew Stafford is a Super Bowl, you know? Matthew Stafford had a hard time winning, but then when he got under the right head coach who could kind of scheme the offense to his advantage, then he was able to win a Super Bowl, and yesterday beat the Vikings. So I think, yeah, at this point, I would just keep going. The approach has mostly worked. Everyone's disappointed in the playoffs. So I wouldn't say.
3 minutes got him there. Yeah, I mean that is the best I got right now, and the biggest I can hope for is that Jordan Love's just lying about the injury thing and that it was a problem, and then obviously you hope that he can just overcome that. Get some time to get comfortable with your situation, you know, get comfortable playing with your knees and ankles and shoulders and everything else that might be bothering you. Just get comfortable with everything being secure. And if you don't think it is, go back to the doctor and make sure that it is. Go to physical therapy and make sure that it's stronger than it was before. That's really all we can hope for is that for whatever reason it happened, it just goes away. But yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't know, but hopefully that's the case. Uncle Rico.
Yo, Ryan, it's your Uncle Rico.
What's up?
Anyways, yeah, I don't know. The Pack. It's easier to laugh about him and not think too hard about it than it is to think too hard about it and cry about him, I guess. But yeah, I don't know about Mr. Love. I had high hopes for him this year, and he degressed, or is that a word? You know, declined, regressed, something.
Yeah.
He did one of those backwards things. And Mr. Watson, I had super high hopes for him, and he didn't disappoint me as far as it just didn't work out. He, you know, as far as his playmaking ability and his decision making and whatnot, I think that's all good. He just things just need to go his way. But I don't know about number 10. I don't know if we need to get him some peyote and lock him in a room like an Aaron Rodgers thing, or get him in the dark, get high in the dark, something. But he definitely is not who we expected him to be. That Dallas game was something else. last year, and it got him paid, and good for him. But I hope he figures it out and can back that up and fulfill basically the promise he made to us. He didn't actually come out and make a promise, but it was promising. That was for sure. So anyways, yeah, I really don't know how to fix him. Obviously, I'm not a quarterback guru, but we have to find someone who is and handcuff them together for the whole off season. That's my thought. That's my advice. Handcuff him to whoever that is that's his quarterback guru. Daryl Bevel. I don't know. That was just a joke, by the way. Rico out. Go Pack, go. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I told you guys what the problem is. In fact, it's funny because I mentioned, it just dawned on me that, we've already kind of figured this out. I showed you when things got good and then when things really dropped off. And it's like, you draw a line there. What happened right there? What happened? Was it an injury? Was it this? We know what happened. It's when he got the deal with Toyota. I said, I don't know. I don't like this. The Toyotathon thing was great. Everything was wonderful. He's this elite quarterback when Toyotathon starts. And then, dude goes out and decides to, capitalize on it, which initially I had said he should do, right? I was on board with that. Like, yeah, dude, you should get paid. Toyota's ridiculous for not participating in all this stuff. They should absolutely do it. And then the deal got done for whatever the amount of money, or just as a joke, I have no idea, but he went and put on the old Toyota sweatshirt, Toyotathon, whatever, and I was like, I hope this doesn't backfire on us. And guess how many times he played a good game after that Toyotathon sweatshirt got put on? The answer is 0. The answer is 0. Okay? So I hope that Toyotathon thing didn't just break. I don't know how these curse things work. I don't really know. I don't know if it just broke for good and he's doomed now. Can he burn the sweatshirt and be done with it? I don't really know how that works. But I think if we're going to try to do it the right way, Toyota needs to do Toyotathon through the entire NFL season. Don't ever talk to Jordan Love ever again. He doesn't exist. And Jordan Love, burn the Toyotathon sweatshirt. Don't ever talk to Toyota. Don't buy a Toyota. Don't think about Toyota. Just go dominate during Toyotathon. I think that's what we got to do. I don't know. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ryan? It's Kyle from Madison. How are you, man?
Pretty good.
Hey, I really appreciate your attitude, following the game. I felt, yeah, you guys had to hear me melt down during the game, so sorry about that. But I do appreciate your attitude afterwards. I feel a similar way. I think there is a lot of positive. A lot of it's going to hinge on the quarterback. I agree. And not just the quarterback. A lot of it's going to hinge on the younger players, all of them not being so damn inconsistent. Or at least be consistent on the same day.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just seemed like that was part of the issue this year. Everybody pick a different day to take off, and it just didn't work out. But there is a lot of good. You know what I mean? I feel strangely optimistic after that. The Vikings, look, I know you liked it at the time, but when I saw them literally popping champagne after accomplishing nothing ultimately by beating us, I thought, oof, I don't know. That rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not saying that was it, but they hadn't arrived, and they seemed like they were acting like they arrived. They did have a great season, though. Boy, if you want to see how badly the Packers live rent-free in the heads of their opponents, just look at their response when they do beat us. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. I appreciated the call, and I'm sorry I don't recall who it was, but they had mentioned about LaFleur and and how he handles certain players. I do think this team, we have gotten a lot more physical this year. I really thought so. I thought Philly was more physical in this game, but I didn't think it was light years difference. The Packers have really done a good job this year on both sides of the ball, with the addition of Jacobs, I think, on offense, especially making them more physical. So that's not a Chief complaint anymore. It's not fake physical. Like, they're a really physical team. But I do think that the team is still missing a couple more a-holes. Like, they're still missing that criminal element, is what I like to call it. And I do wonder that.
It's funny. I made that comment about Lucas Van Ness. He's too much of a pretty boy and whatnot. And on one hand, I'm kidding. On the other hand, it's like, I think there's something to it. And I contrast him with Max Crosby. And I think my official stance is we got to start getting guys with more neck tattoos. You know what I mean? Like Preston had some neck tattoos. He was pretty good. I don't know. Football isn't just a cerebral thing. It is cerebral, but there's a freaking mentality. There's a reason why these psychopaths are good football players. You know, a lot of them, they don't end up sticking around because of, serious mental health stuff or whatever. And some of these guys are just like Vontez Burfict and stuff, like the Pac-Man. They're a little crazy, and that's not good. I'm not saying we need people to go out and try to hurt people or whatever, but there's a fine line, and I think, I appreciate that the Packers try to find good people and whatnot. It's good for the community, good for the team's image, and good for the locker room, sort of. But it feels like we miss out on a couple unhinged, really talented guys. So I don't know. I'm going to be looking for pass rushers with neck tattoos. That's my thing this year. We'll see how that goes.
Well, is it a thing? Like, does LaFleur have trouble with that personality type? Some of the sample size you could look at and go, yeah, he might. Some of these guys are a little different, a little off. A little bit of characters, like, are those the guys he's having trouble with? There's a little bit of evidence to that. You know what I mean? So, we'll see. I guess one more thing about the Vikings game last night, Thank you, universe, throwing me a bone, man. I needed that. How much money do you think Sam Darnold lost himself the last 2 weeks? Lord. Or do you still think somebody's going to pay him? That's going to be an interesting thing. There's a lot of interesting stuff this season, man. Go Pack, go.
I will say, as far as the, getting those kind of guys, though, you mentioned that LaFleur struggles with. I think the Packers organization does in general. They just don't really tolerate that, and that's probably why they wouldn't last here anyways. We'd go out and get them. They'd be good football players, and there would just be locker room conflicts, and everybody be pissed, and they'd end up forcing their way off the team anyways. It would have ended up being a waste. So maybe it's not worth it. Some of these guys are just psychopaths, and they're just really good. And it's like, oh, man. Those rare times you find like that actual psycho that's just crazy enough to dominate a football field, not quite crazy enough to get into too much legal trouble that he can't play football, maybe a little legal trouble, but not too much, and also doesn't completely eat your team from within. If you can find that perfect sweet spot, boy, you found yourself a Hall of Famer. I just think it's hard. It's hard to strike that balance a little bit. Oh yeah, and Sam Darnold screwed himself pretty hard.
Hey, quick other point on Darnold, though. I know this is Packer podcast, but hear me out. And I don't know, maybe this will be at the time of this being recorded. This was an original thought to me, but by the time it's on the air, I don't know. Maybe everybody's talking like this, but I'm sitting there watching the Vikings just suck for 3 quarters last night, and Darnold just, my God, the last 2 weeks, like I just said, I can't imagine the amount of money he lost. But then the thought occurred to me, like, all right, so you're not going to get the mega deal, but you know how these things go. They blow over, and the recency bias kind of fades, and then you start looking more at the body of work through the season. And I started thinking, well, actually, it's totally not crazy to think somebody will pay him some pretty decent money. On the other hand, maybe his history of mediocrity scares him off. So maybe he's priced right for the Vikings to keep him for a year. But then I started thinking to myself, well, maybe the Vikings don't want him for a year. And then I started realizing, dear God, we have now entered the realm where the possibility of Aaron Rodgers being Viking is like double-digit percentile. As much as I mocked and laughed at that, you can't deny that that's a possibility.
Yeah, it is.
If he does play. Now, do they want the S show that goes with it? Do they want all that? I don't know. But after watching Darnold's implosion and just like complete lack of understanding, it seemed like, of where he was and down in distance, I mean, that's just crazy last 2 weeks. I'm not sure the Vikings want to roll with him, and I don't know that, you got your rookie quarterback on the shelf all year. I mean, you'd be kind of stupid to roll out McCarthy out there, wouldn't you? Again, that might be their move. I don't know. But I'm not saying it's going to happen or that I want it to happen or that I even care either way, honestly. But it does for the first time. I mean, I just laughed out loud as I'm watching the game because I'm thinking, man, that's actually a possibility. Like, you can't deny that that's actually like a possibility with some legs, a rumor. I don't know if it's a rumor, whatever, but it could actually happen because if the guy just wants to play one more year, hard to imagine he's going to turn in worse performances than the last 2 weeks. Now, I don't think he's going to author the kind of season Darnold had previous to that, but I at least think the Vikings would entertain the thought now, and I thought that impossible even just 3 weeks ago. So, I don't know. You go ahead and tell me I'm an idiot. I understand. I don't have a horse in that race, but I just think, oh my gosh, the history is a flat circle, dude. Time's flat circle.
Yeah, it seems to be almost perfect from both vantage points when you think about what Rodgers would want, right? I mean, the defensive coordinator, whether he gets a head coaching job or not, I don't know, but I think it's certainly a potential for that defense that he's wanted. On top of that, obviously, well-respected play caller, elite number one wide receiver. I mean, everything's right there for Rodgers. On top of, similar to Brett Favre, hey, you get back at the Packers and all that kind of stuff. And, he said he would never join the Bears, but he didn't say that necessarily about the Vikings, although maybe he wouldn't for that reason. And then from the Vikings standpoint, I mean, you could easily look at it and say, we were knocking on the door, and the only reason we didn't continue on is because of Sam Darnold. Do we believe that Rodgers could come in and perform at that same level? Well, why wouldn't you? If you can elevate Darnold to that level, how could you not get that out of Rodgers? And then the question is, do you think Rodgers would have been better or worse in that playoff situation? And you have to wonder if they believe they'd still be alive right now if Rodgers is their quarterback instead of Darnold. The biggest pushback that I would give is that you're shutting down McCarthy because there's no benching Aaron Rodgers. So you're going to bring him on, and he's going to stay as long as, you can't. It's almost like the only way you ever see this guy is if your decision to bring in Rodgers was a complete failure, similar to the Jets, where you just have a terrible season, and then you have to let him go and then bring in McCarthy. Because even if you're okay, if you limp into the playoffs or something, what are you going to do? You're going to get rid of Rodgers? I don't know. Maybe. I guess you could. But I think they want to have some flexibility. I think ideally they'd like to have J.J. McCarthy take over. They'll want to wait and see if he's ready, but I don't think they want to make any kind of a commitment that they can't easily say J.J. is going to be our guy. The competition, sure, an option in case he's not ready, sure. But I just think Rodgers is too much. But who knows, man? Who knows?
Howdy, this is Jared, the Uber driver from
Hey.
Texas. And man, that was tough. That was a tough loss to watch. But hey, Monday night made me feel a little better because the Sam Darnold finally turned into a pumpkin. Took all season. That's okay.
Took a little longer than we thought.
Yeah, no. I'm looking forward to the off season. I'm guessing you'll be able to answer most of our questions or calls now, since we don't have any game due time. But I don't know. I'm sure you've probably heard by now, by the time you hear this message, but Tom Clements retired. So look, hey, who knows? Maybe Tom Clements was taking it easy this year. Maybe we can get a new quarterback coach in there that'll maybe help out Jordan Love. Because I was watching the NFL highlights of Jordan Love from the whole season, and it was pretty good. Look, I know it wasn't consistent, but he had some good throws up in there. That's all. Hold on, I gotta take this.
Well, I would like to throw something out there too. I mean, it's I don't know this, but it's entirely possible that the Packers let him know that he wasn't going to be coming back and maybe gave him the opportunity rather than being let go to choose to retire, or whatever. If you wanted to retire, that you'd rather go out that way, to be able to say that he chose to retire rather than to say, I got fired and then I'm going to retire. That is entirely possible that they, didn't necessarily like the progress of the quarterback and wanted to go in a different direction. Just saying. All right, here's part 2.
It's Jared or Durr again.
Durr.
I was talking about Tom Clements. Maybe a new quarterback coach could maybe reinvigorate the quarterback room a little. Maybe something new. Hey, stop eating that. Sorry, walking the dogs. Also, my wife called me from the room. Fun fact about game day for us, we had RSV, and so we were just laying there sick watching the game, and I'm like, of course this has happened. We shit the bed, all that crap. I'm still surprised. Now I know this is a few days later. I'm still surprised that nobody's out there fix these refs, because I'm sorry, that whole first play, big momentum change. If they don't get those 7 points, they might not score 10 in the first half. They might only get 6 or only 3. So big change in the game. I don't know. Anyway, back to hopeful stuff for the offseason. And then, maybe, there's that Texas wide receiver that just declared for the draft. He's younger. Maybe Gutekunst will go for him. Yeah, apparently he balled out this year. I haven't looked too much into it, but maybe he is draft worthy. Also, the whole T. Higgins, maybe Tyreek Hill, so we have another fast guy. Hey, stop eating that. Oh my God, Blaze, stop. Oh my God. I love when dogs do that. Okay, anyways, and then, there's a lot to look forward to, and we have I know it's not a great draft position, but we're in the mid-20s, I think we're draft position 23, so if we need to trade up, we can. We're not even sure how many draft picks we'll have. Maybe Gutekunst will wheel and deal a little. I don't know. We'll find out, though, I'm sure. But anyways, go Pack, go. Year 2 with Jordan Love. Year 2 of Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. I think year 3 will be better. Remember, a lot of quarterbacks have sophomore slumps, and this is technically his second year starting, right? And, C.J. Stroud didn't have a great year. Now, his team definitely helped him in the playoffs, but C.J. Stroud had a way worse year than Jordan Love, I think, at least last I checked. But anyways, go Pack, go. Have a good day.
Yeah, Stroud definitely slumped. I haven't really looked into the whole sophomore slump. I know people talk about it. I don't know that I've really noticed it or whatever, but it's certainly a thing that can happen. Like I said, that when you look at performances, if you use PFF as a gauge, it very rarely is a straight line in any one direction. It's not ever flat. It's not straight up. It's not straight down. Some guys got a pretty decent bell curve. You slowly get better, and then as you get older, you slowly get worse. But even those, even the smoothest bell curve you'll find is going to be pretty jagged. So I guess I say that to say that I know Jordan is going to be different. I just don't know in which direction. I don't know what his best year is going to look like, what his worst year is going to look like, when he's going to have those years. I don't know, but hopefully he starts having a couple pretty soon here. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. We got Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Hey, Ryan. It's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
What's up?
I've listened to a couple of your podcasts today while walking my route, and I have to say I'm relieved that there are so many seeing this game the way I saw it, because I was just blown away by how obvious some of these calls should have gone the other way, or obviously calls should have been made that didn't. And the moment that first play happened, when the fumble happened, and I saw who was reffing the game, I knew we were screwed because I do not like that ref. And I'm glad that you pointed out that group was definitely one of the worst groups in NFL this year. And I think it just set us up with unsurmountable hill to climb. And the defense did fight admirably. I think there's a lot to be hopeful about with that, how that team's going to, the side of the ball is going to progress. But, man, I wanted to bring this up to you because it'll be something that'll get talked about until the draft. What's the timetable for Christian Watson's return? A second concussion with Dobbs, even while wearing the Guardian cap, and it was a hard hit to the ground with the set, I will admit, but does this affect how he plays from here on out, man? Does this wreck his confidence? Because it's a physical game. Has this taken what was a really talented group that was on the rise and set it back a few pegs? Because I agree with you. We're going to have to address it again. And I really didn't think we were going to have to do that. And now it looks like we might. Is a first round wide receiver that's a blue chip, is that what unlocks love? I don't know. But, man, it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth how we ended the season. It's just horrible. So, go Pack, go. I'm out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think if you were to ask around, there's one blue chip wide receiver, and he won't make it out of the top 10, possibly not out of the top 5. That's kind of the way the blue chippers work. You don't get them usually outside of the top 5 or top 10, depending on how many there are. But I get what you're saying as far as, if you get lucky and you hit on that true number 1 wide receiver, which, is never a guarantee, but do you need to try and strive for that a little bit and see if you can't try to identify a guy that can be that? Yeah, I mean, it's been talked about a lot, but it's not going to hurt anything, I don't think. Who knows?
It would be criminal for me not to address something. I just ran out of time to say it. But Josh Jacobs and his fight that he brought to this game, and that run that he got there at the end that almost was a touchdown, man, those are the type of runs I remember seeing like Walter Payton make. It just, there's no give or give up in him. He's just unstoppable. Sorry, it's really cold here. It's hard to talk. I'm very proud of the fight that he brought to that game. I'm very proud of Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft and what they brought to the game. There's so many others that just didn't seem like they did, especially Love. I didn't see it in them, man. There's sometimes I just really want to see some emotion out of him. I like it that he's even keel in some circumstances, but man, this team needs a leader that at least sometimes shows some emotion when they do need it. And Josh Jacobs shows it on the field. I just want to see some fight from some of these other guys. Man, we need more than that. We need more than just a couple guys doing it. We need this team to feel that way. I'm out.
It's hard to know what people respond to. I don't know. I mean, for some people it might matter, for others it might not. Some people probably don't like getting barked at and all that nonsense. Aaron Jones wasn't a loud guy. He was a pretty quiet guy. Aaron Rodgers was a very vocal guy, and I think it was to the detriment of the team. I know you're aiming for a very specific type of passion or whatever, but I don't know. It depends on the, each person's going to be different. Everybody responds to things differently. It's no different than any workplace where you got You might have a very hands-off boss, and some people really appreciate that because they don't like being bothered and they just want to be left alone. As far as they know, they don't even have a boss. The greatest thing in the world. Other people like, I need direction. Why aren't you helping us? Why aren't you support? We need support. And then, you flip it and you give those people what they want. And then the other guy, now he's pissed. I don't really have a problem with, I don't know. I feel like it would be nitpicky to get into that kind of stuff. Does he need more passion? No, he just needs to throw the ball better. I don't care if he jumps up and down when he does it or, does a somersault, backflip. If he's very quiet, he could have a sad face, angry face, happy face. I don't really give a crap. Just throw the ball where it's supposed to go, and I'm good. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is a lack of motivation. Maybe my biggest issue with that whole thing, there's always talk about as far as motivate, like Matt LaFleur needs to do this and that and the other to make sure guys are up for these games and everything. It's like, you understand what we're talking about here. We're talking about professional football players who just don't feel like it, and we're mad at the other people for not making them feel like it. It's not Matt LaFleur's job. It's not Jordan Love's job to make these guys feel like showing up to work for major playoff games and everything. You know what I mean? If you just don't care enough to show up, would it be nice to have a great motivational speaker, Go get frickin' Tony Robbins to speak to the team or something. I don't know what else to do here, but it shouldn't be necessary. I think we need to identify the people that are not showing up, and rather than going after the quarterback and coach and whatnot, just look at them and go, maybe you're not cut out for this. I don't know.
And that Bazarowski video is shocking, dude.
Yeah.
If that had been me, like, you know those YouTube videos where the bad AI announcer will be like, this person's already dead and they don't know it yet. And then they are trying to take a selfie and they get hit by a bus or something. Mm-hmm. That would be me but it wouldn't just be me. It'd be like me and two other guys be dead. Cause there's no way I could control myself. Kudos to him. And I'll tell you what, the NFL better do something about this because it's totally BS. If in order to get a competitive advantage, all you got to do is be the biggest assholes, borderline criminal assholes in the world, and then nobody comes to your stadium. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Like with my European,
that was the craziest thing about the whole situation. So everybody supported him at first, and then all of a sudden you got Philly fans plus a bunch of ridiculous conspiracy theorists coming out and essentially blaming him for it. And one of the attack lines was, well, he knew what he was getting into. Are you kidding me? That's a defense? Well, you knew I was a criminal. Why are you coming by me? You knew I was going to mug you and take your money. That's the dumbest pile of crap ever. But a lot of people are saying that. Well, you know what you're getting into when you go to a game like that. Oh, come on.
Hey, friends, I always take a little bit, I feel like I have a little bit higher ground on them because despite all of the issues in America, we still sit side by side in stadiums. Opposing fans and home fans.
Yeah.
Incredibly. I'm always surprised we can handle that. I just went to a game in Germany this year. And this isn't like a third division South American team. This is first division Bundesliga game, right? Western society. The opposing team has to be reported an hour early. They are escorted by guard to a caged off corner of this freaking stadium. After the game, they have to wait and then they are escorted out. Because that's what it's like there. And I've always said it seems like the soccer in Europe is about 20 years or 30 years ahead of us as far as these types of trends. And if the NFL doesn't do something, this is where we're headed, and it's not where you want to be. It's not where you want to be. Because I doubt they have the courage to do what needs to be done. I mean, I hate FIFA. FIFA is the governing body of international soccer. They've got their issues. But I will say one thing. If that kind of thing goes on, they will take drastic actions to stop it. They will literally have teams playing in empty stadiums until their fans knock it the F off. They're serious about that crap. I doubt the NFL because of just their profit motive and their greed. They're never going to do that. But I'm telling you, this is a problem. And if the NFL doesn't do something about it, this is going to be, man, this could be the end game. You know what I mean? Especially for a team like Green Bay. So I don't know. And, the crazy thing is, imagine somebody acting like this at Lambeau, and I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, I have seen people act like that. They were freaking Eagles fans. In '05, I went to a game in McNabb, and those guys beat us. And they got kicked out, right, in like 5 minutes into the game because they're acting like that. Disgusting, man. Eagles fan, you disgust me.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could really think, and I know the NFL has done this on very, very rare occasion. I don't know if they actually followed through or threatened or what, but if things get out of hand with the stands during a game, they will penalize the team. I can't imagine they would do that looking forward, like they saw this video and therefore they did this, that, or the other. I think what they did and what they have done is probably the best you can do. That guy's banned from the stadium, just like the guy that did this throat slit thing to Matt LaFleur. He is also now banned, I believe, from NFL games or something to that effect. I don't know, something like that. I think that's relatively drastic enough. It's not gonna. These things aren't gonna stop. I mean, you got people that are so liquored up. They don't go into it with any intention of doing crazy stuff, but then they get liquored up, they do something stupid, and there's going to be some punishments that they're going to have to live up to after. But that's not really going to prevent the next guy from coming in, getting liquored up, and doing something stupid. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Some of the stuff like Philly fans harassing players and stuff outside of the when they're outside of the hotel when they're getting on the bus and everything, and the reports of them throwing eggs at buses and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I think the best you can do is be extremely heavy-handed when it comes to handing down punishments to these people, and if need be, pursuing criminal charges. If there's assault or anything like that, we will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know what else you do, because it's not going to completely stop. But I also I just think it's so different the way the NFL is. It's a little bit more of a family function kind of thing. People tend to be a little bit more polite. It's not like soccer hooligan type culture, generally speaking. But I don't know.
Hey, one last thing, Ryan. I promise this is it, because this has to do with watching the Minnesota LA game last night. So that defense of LA consisted of Jared Verse, a rookie who made it to the Pro Bowl. Fisk, who their defensive tackle they got was also a rookie, making significant impact with that defense. I think it's time that we start having a little bit more expectation of some of these rookies that we do draft, especially in the high rounds, to make an impact, because these guys both did. I don't think we can always use an excuse that it takes time to develop and they're rookies. It's a hard thing to learn. I think we need to start having a little more expectations of some of these guys. And
well, that's only half fair. I mean, it is true that it's not always just the rookie year they're down or whatever. Like I said, everybody has their own career arc and everything. I think the other thing that is maybe on the unfair side is if you look at the defensive tackles, of all the defensive tackles, there's only one that's worth a damn, and it's Fisk. There's also the other guy. One is a good run defender, one's a good pass rusher. Fisk is the good pass rusher, but he's the only one. Everybody else is a pile of crap. Same with the pass rushers. There's basically two good pass rushers out of a very deep pool, including the number one edge rusher taken that didn't perform very well. Nobody else is worth a damn. So, yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we were we were with linebacker this year. Of all the linebackers drafted, I think two of them panned out. One of them was ours. So, yeah, you want to be the team that has that one guy. Of the very rare people that actually popped off, you want to be able to say that you got one or two of those guys. And we did this year with, like I said, with linebacker. But I don't want to get caught up in the thing of saying that that's just the expectation every time, because, again, you're talking 5% of these guys pan out as rookies. I mean, just, if there were 20 or not rookie defensive tackles. Let me look. Well, there were 29 total, 14 that actually played a decent amount. Tavondre Sweat was actually the only one. Fisk actually had a 57 PFF grade because his run defense is so appalling. He had the second worst run defense grade of all the defensive tackles, rookie defensive tackles, he had by far the worst tackling grade of anybody. But he had 59 pressures and 11 sacks on 464 attempts. The only guy that had a positive grade was Tavondre Sweat with a 76 PFF grade, but he just had 23 pressures and 2 sacks. But Michael Hall was not good. Leonard Taylor was not good. Evan Anderson was not good. Elijah Chapman was not good. Byron Murphy was not good. McKinley Jackson, Jerzon, I mean, that was a big one. Jerzon was not good. 21 pressures and 2 sacks and 287 attempts and a 44 run defense grade. Tyler Davis was not good. Jonah Lalu, Chris Jenkins, Mason Smith, Dwayne Carter. None of them were good. Edge was a little bit better. Jared Verse was an absolute monster with an 89 PFF grade. He did only have 8 sacks, but that doesn't tell half the story. 89 pressures, 546 attempts, plus an 81 run defense grade. Chop Robinson also was fantastic. Really not a good run defender, but 56 pressures on 344 attempts and 7 sacks is great. Latu was He graded out pretty well as far as his pass rush grade, but he basically was at 10%, 38 of 375. Shut up. And 4 sacks only. Let's see. That's about it, though. Nobody else really did anything. Let's see. Eric, no, the next highest graded was Eric Watts, but that was a 66. So Eric Watts, Jalix Hunt, Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, Jonah Ellis, Javante Jean-Baptiste, Austin Booker, Marshawn Nealon, Xavier Thomas, and Jalen Harrell all graded out poorly. Right, it's the same with corner. It was, why didn't you get Cooper DeJean? Why didn't you get Cooper DeJean? Why didn't you get Cooper DeJean? And it was a pretty good corner class. But it's like, okay, you mentioned Cooper DeJean. You don't mention Terry and Arnold. Why? Because you only like to use hindsight? Because now that you know who's good, you can sit here and say who we should have taken? What use is that other than you being a loser? This is a really good rookie class, though. Nobody was in the 80s, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in the 70s, plus 2 more at a 69. And Mike Sanderstill was at a 67. If we just look at coverage grades, there were 7 in the 70s, plus Nate Wiggins at a 69, so that'd be 8. Kool-Aid McKinstry was just below that at a 67, but as far as below a 60, as in below average, Cam Hart, Max Melton, Beanie Bishop, Jarvis Brownlee, Storm Duck, Terrion Arnold, Chow Wade Smith Wade, Decamarion Richardson, and Kalen Carson were all below. So, no, I agree that just because they're a rookie, it's not an excuse, and you do want guys to step up and have really good seasons and whatnot. By the way, we also hit it with Evan Williams. And that was a decent safety class, too. Cam Kinchins, Jaden Hicks, Evan Williams, Del Pettis, and Dadrian Taylor Demerson all in the 70s. Everybody else of the 12 was below that. So it was, again, pretty close to 50-50, but not quite. Most of them didn't pan out, and that's kind of the point. It shouldn't necessarily be an expectation. If I draft you, you should be a good player is not really an expectation. Offensive line is a good example of that. We drafted a guy in the first round. We didn't get to see him play, but it's like, we drafted a bust, whatever. Out of 24 offensive linemen, 3 of them graded out well. Dominic Puny is the highest, then Zach Frazier, then Joe Alt, and that's it. DJ Glaze, Roger Rosengarten, Matt Gonclaves, Talise Fuaga, Cooper Beebe, Tanner Bortolini, Jackson Powers Johnson, J.C. Latham, Fashanu, Brandon Coleman, Isaiah Adams, Marius Mims, Mason McCormick, Graham Barton, Bo Limmer, Dalton Tucker, Tyler Guyton, Patrick Paul, Blake Fisher, Layden Robinson, and Lomea, all of them graded out less than good. Let's see, below a 60, there were 11. Below a 50, there were 5. Below a 40, there's 1, Lomea. But there were 11 below a 60, below the 60s, and only 3 above the 60s, with only 1 in the 80s. So if our guy ended up playing well, it would have been a giant outlier. And remember, guys like Fuaga were taken at 14, way ahead of the guy we took. He had a 62 pass blocking grade and a 69 run blocking grade.
Those guys looked legit last night. I mean, they made Sam Darnold look like the Sam Darnold that we all know from the Jets. So, I became a big fan of the Rams last night. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Rams and Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
So, we'll see what happens. But man, I'm kind of glad we didn't face them because man, they looked really good. If they played Philadelphia wouldn't stand a chance. So, I'm just glad Minnesota got knocked out. I'm out.
Well, and that was one of the takeaways I had because how many games now have we watched? I mean, granted, 2 of them were by the Rams. I think it was the Rams against Minnesota and the Rams against Philadelphia, even though they did lose. But when I was watching these games, I realized, man, a lot of these teams that are losing are getting sacked like 8 times. Like the pass rush is out of control. So that became a theme of this postseason, and that, don't want to read too much into it. Things change over time, but that seems to be a dominant thing. If you don't have that this year, you can't keep up. But again, it's a lot easier to say I wish we had that. Go get it than it is to actually get that. Like, hey, how about this year we go get a Jared Verse? Like, well, yeah. It's a pretty rare thing to have just come across your team is the opportunity to get a guy that performs at that level. I mean, I don't even know the last time anybody's ever done that. I mean, last year, Will Anderson, where did he get drafted? Will Anderson was taken number 3 overall. He didn't perform that well. 2022, Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, these are, I would exclude guys like that just because obviously we would never get him. Aiden Hutchinson wasn't that. I mean, that might be one of the better rookie pass rush performances. I don't want to say ever because there's been some, one of the Watt, JJ Watt or something. But, yeah, saying we just need to go get a guy like that is, it might be another 5 or so years before somebody like that falls to, where did he even, he went too early for us anyways, right? Yeah, he went 19. So finding a guy that has a year like Jared Verse fall to you at 22 or wherever we're picking, good luck. And again, this isn't one of those things like the Rams nailed it. If anybody knew this guy was going to perform at this level, he would have been taken in the top 5. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.